Good morning. My name is John Tschohl. I'm president of Service Quality Institute in Minneapolis, and welcome to our Customer Service Certification Seminar. The purpose of this seminar is to help you understand the strategy of customer service and then to provide the tools that you could use to develop your staff so that they are customer driven. Today I will talk for a short period of time about the strategy of customer service. Then you will go through the Feelings program, which is our flagship customer service program that lays the foundation that helps you develop high-performing customer-driven employees. And then secondly, you will go through the following 2 days after that, Leading Empowered Teams, our management program, which focuses on empowerment. What do we got to change to create a service culture, teamwork, and more importantly, how to coach and reinforce a service culture. And then the last day of the certification seminar, if you're going through the 4 days, will be the Train the Trainer seminar, where you will be provided the facilitator material for both Feelings and for Leading Empowered Teams and trained in how to do this, these two seminars. So today what I'd like to do is talk about the service strategy. And this will be a short presentation, but as you go back to your organizations, what I need you to understand is you're talking about strategy. You're talking about how do you differentiate in the marketplace. I don't want you to go back to your organization and talk to the leadership team about training. I don't want you to talk about Feelings or Leading Empowered Teams. I need you to go back and communicate that what you have done is gone through a seminar that helps the organization create a service culture so that you can crush your competition, so you can differentiate in the marketplace, so you can dominate the market. So going through the motions of providing service is one thing, but unbelievable, exceptional, noticeable service is the other thing. And you're never going to be a service leader without providing exceptional, noticeable service. Good service no longer gets you into the game. You're not going to win a gold medal because you had good service. You're not going to keep customers because you had good service. You've got to provide exceptional, noticeable, unusual service, and it better be by every single employee, and it better be every given day. So the difference between a manufacturing firm and a service firm is in manufacturing you want quality, and it has to be 100% the same, whatever the item is that you're making. When you're talking about the customer experience, you don't want robots out there. What you want are people that are different, that are unique, that understand the customer experience. Seth Godin, in his book Linchpin, said the easier people are to replace, the less they need to be paid. And so far, workers have been complacent in this commoditization. The indispensable employee is a person who's worth finding and keeping. So the difficulty is that most organizations here in this room today have 25% more employees than you need. We have a lot of incompetent, slow-moving people that don't care. What you want to do is develop indispensable, extraordinary people. Jeff Imlett, the CEO of General Electric, and GE might be known as maybe one of the best managed companies in the world. He said, developing and motivating people is the most important part of my job. So if you want to be more successful in your organization, I'd recommend that you copy some of the ideas that I'm talking about here. At GE, they invest $1 billion a year developing their people. $1 billion. We're talking U.S. dollars. $1 billion. The question I have for all of you in this room is how much money are you spending each year building your people, developing your people? Now, the other secret of GE is they have the best people at every single position. What would happen at First Bank, your airline? What would happen with your cooperative, your utility, your telecommunications company, if you had the best people at every single position? Now, one of the other secrets of GE is that every year they evaluate all people. You have an A, B, and a C, and the C's are given 6 months to improve their performance or they're gone. So what happens every year, General Electric eliminates a whole lot of people that just didn't seem to improve their performance. So the difficulty we got is that sometimes you got a lot of dead people on your payroll, And what's worse is you keep them. So what we have are products you can use to put fertilizer on people to help develop high-performing people. My recommendation is after you put the fertilizer on, if it doesn't work, and I have the best stuff, I think, in the world, but it's not magic. So there are some people that don't like customers. There are some people that don't like their job. There are some people that don't want to work at where they're working. It is a sin for you to keep that person on the job. First, you have to provide the training, the tools to help them improve their performance. But not everybody is going to raise their hand and say, yes, I want to get better. Yes, I want to be indispensable. Yes, I want to be extraordinary. So if you have a rotten apple in the bushel of apples and you don't remove the rotten apple, soon it will contaminate the rest of the apples. If you have cancer and you don't remove the cancer, soon the whole body will be consumed and you die. The same thing is true of your organization. So Emlet said, I spend a third of my time on people. We recruit, we develop, we train, we improve, we think about people constantly. Why don't you do the same thing? What would happen if you did the same thing in your organization? That's the purpose of the service culture plan. That's the purpose of this certification seminar, to provide the tools that you could use in your organization to develop high-performing people. I have a new program, a new book called Moving Up. I believe that probably a third of the workforce everywhere in the world, the employees just show up. What would happen if everybody in your organization wanted to become indispensable, to be extraordinary? That's the purpose of moving up. See, the most needed and essential workers are so hard to replace, so dangerous to lose, and so important to an organization's success that they might as well be irreplaceable. See, business has been misled into a strategy that favors investments in machines, in financial capital, over the investment of people. My research shows that if you invest in people, you develop people, the return on investment is far more significant than anything else you can do in your organization. Let me give you 5 steps that I think are necessary for breakaway service. And there's not any order in this list that I got. Number 1 is you've got to have speed. Speed means to me, if it took 8 days, how do I do it in 1 day? Speed is if it took 10 hours, how do I do it in 1 hour? That's speed. Speed is not going from 9 hours to 8 hours. The problem that we have in the world is everybody thinks slow. We have no urgency. Sometimes it's a cultural thing. And we're going to get more into speed in the next few minutes. The second thing is you've got to have price. Customers are driven by price. Service leaders understand price. They have services and products that have incredible price advantages. The difficulty is if you got too many people because half of them are dead or a third of them are dead, it's going to kill you off. Your overhead is too high because you're ineffective. You're working on 4 cylinders instead of 8 cylinders. There are too many stupid policies and rules and procedures that slow things down, that cost you more money. So it's important to be looking for how can you eliminate costs, pass the savings on to the customer to give you increased value. The third thing up here is you've got to have empowerment. Empowerment means we want your employees to make fast decisions on the spot, and it better be in favor of the customer. If the customer wins, you win. If the customer loses, you lose. Trying to get one of your employees to make an empowered decision, even for $5, is oftentimes asking for a miracle, sometimes 2 miracles. I believe that 80% of all the empowerment decisions that really influence a customer are for less than $50. And then you got to have quality and service. And when I talk about quality and service, I think the 2 words are highly interchangeable. So if you took 100 of your customers and you said define quality and then define service, you're going to see everything's kind of interchangeable. To 100 customers, it means a lot of different things. What you need to do is exceed those expectations consistently. And again, whether you got 50 employees, 500, or 5,000, you have to make sure that every single person is delivering and exceeding the expectations of your customer. See, the best service pros are just simply outstanding employees. And our goal at Service Quality Institute is to help you build outstanding employees. That's the purpose of the certification seminar, to provide the tools that you can use to go forward in your organization. Let me give you an example of a role model, and I'm going to use several of them here this morning. If we look at Commerce Bank, the average size bank branch in America has $50 million in deposits. Commerce Bank had $120 million. The medium new bank branch goes to $19 million in deposits in 5 years. Commerce Bank averaged $87 million. Now, why do I talk about Commerce Bank? Because everything was built on the customer experience. This is the growth model. They were sold in 2007 to TD Bank, and they had $8.5 billion is what they collected for when they made the sale. They had $45 billion in assets, 428 locations. And if you look at the numbers up here, assets were growing 29% a year since 1973 when they started. Deposits were growing 30% a year, loans 28%. Let me tell you what, when you got $45 billion in assets and you're growing 29% a year, that's a heck of an increase. So Vernon Hill, the founder of Commerce Bank, started Metro Bank in London on July 29th of 2010. They have 7-day branch banking. Their goal is to have 200 locations in Metro London. And the initial capitalization was 75 million euros. If you look at their hours, they're open Mondays through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Are your banks in your market area, your country, your state, open those kind of hours? On Saturdays, they're open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then on Sundays, they're open from 11 to 5. Now, what I'd recommend you do is give this phone number a call, 4420-340-28312. That's a London phone number. Call them any hour of the day, 7 days a week, maybe Sunday morning at 6 a.m. or maybe Friday night at 2 in the morning. Try some unusual hours. Here's the key, is they answer the phone in 1 or 2 rings with a live, caring, friendly person. That's the same thing that we want to do with your organization. We don't want some voicemail system. We want people that understand the customer experience. I think that if you have too many employees, why not shift some of those people to a call center environment where you have people answering the phone with live people on 1 or 2 rings, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that are highly trained, that communicate performance. Now, it's interesting, if you look at the numbers up here for Metro Bank, their customer satisfaction score is 90%. Commerce Bank, which was unbelievably good in the United States, had 67%. Now, it's really interesting, if you look at the competition in London, First Direct has got 57%. That's the next best. RBS has 10%. Lloyd's has a minus 19%. And Barclays has a minus 39%. I mean, who would have negative customer satisfaction scores? Here's the interesting thing. In London, most people hate their banks. I think in the United States, most people hate their banks. I don't know about your respective market. But here's the big picture. This is what I'm selling. This is the strategy. Everything at Metro Bank is built on the customer experience. Within 10 years, their goal is to have 24 billion pounds in assets. That's equivalent to about $36 billion. So they're going from zero, July 29, 2010, to $36 billion in assets. They're going to have 200 stores, and they're on track to accomplish this. The long-term goal is to get between 5 and 10% of the London retail and commercial banking market. They say if we get 5% of the London market, it'll be worth 50 billion pound bank. That's according to Vernon Hill, the founder. That's really almost 70 billion US dollars. So here it's the concept. Everything's built on the customer service. First new bank in London in over 150 years. All their competitors know exactly what they're doing. But under the service strategy, you can roll it out underneath the nose of your competition, and you'll have at least a 10-year lead time, and they will not copy you. So here's a brand new bank that's going to go from zero to probably $70 billion in assets all within 10 years. Now, what would you, See, I think the principles I'm teaching, you could have the same kind of results in your market area. May not in the same dollars, but you could have the same kind of influence. So the strategy is, how do you grow your business faster with a strategy that nobody will copy, that allows you to own and dominate the market and steal competitors left and right from your competition. That is the service strategy. So let me give you some steps that you can use on how to create a service culture in your organization. Number one, you got to have a vision as a service leader. We have some banks, we have airlines in this room, we have technology companies in this room. I need you to understand you're in the service business. You're in the business of creating a customer experience. The second thing we got to do is you got to use technology to drive your business. Give you an example. At Metro Bank, you can open an account within 15 to 20 minutes. Their competitors in London, it takes them 2 weeks. Now, one of the reasons is because they changed the technology. They spent money so that they would have leading-edge technology. Part of it is just because they understand the service strategy. The other banks, their attitude is, who cares? We're a bank. Okay? And then third is you got to effectively build and develop employees. If you got 400 employees, you better be thinking about, how do I develop all 400 of these employees? If you got an airline, you're just starting up with 25 people, you better have the most customer-driven, high-performing people that have ever existed in your life. And then number 4 up here, you got to train all employees. No exceptions. That includes your security guards, the janitors. I don't care who it is. If you got 600 people or 6,000 people, every single person must be developed. The most important person in each of your organizations is not the owner. It is not the CEO. The most important person is that little guy floating through the system that touches your customer. It could be on the internet. It could be on the phone. It could be in person. I want that person to be so awesome that your customers say, wow. And then number 5 up here, we got to create a customer-friendly process and systems and procedures. See, you could have the nicest people in the world. You could have employees that love customers, but you could have really stupid rules, stupid policies, stupid procedures that just alienate the customer. And the bad news is your employees love policies, rules, and procedures. It's safe, there's no risk, okay? But it totally turns off your customers. And then customers value exceptional service. How do they value? They give you a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. So if you want to grow your business, your organization, faster than your competition, I mean like light years faster, customers value exceptional service. The key word is exceptional. I didn't say good service. I didn't say okay service. I didn't say poor service. I said exceptional service. And then number 7 up here, price by itself is not sustainable. You're never going to own the market just because of price. Walmart, very interesting. The largest company in the world, the largest employer in the world, has focused in the last 10 to 12 years on price. And I invested $1,000 in May of 2003 in Walmart. I invested $1,000 in Amazon at the same period of time. I invested $1,000 in Costco at the same period of time. The stock at Walmart, after 10 years, is worth about $1,250, which is for 10 years is a very poor return. The stock at Amazon is worth over $9,000. The stock at Costco is worth over $3,500. So what happens is that you can increase the value of your company if you understand the power of the service strategy. Price by itself will not build the brand and will not capture the value of your company. And then number 8 up here is you got to value employees and the customers. Now, valuing doesn't mean that you pay people a lot more money. There's a couple myths in customer service. The first myth is that if you add a lot more people, you'll improve customer service. Frankly, for most of you in this room, you don't need to add any more employees. You got way too many. Problem is you got some dead people. We need to help you eliminate the dead people. We need you to develop high-performing people. The second myth is that if you pay people a lot more money, they'll improve their customer service. And the reason customer service is not as good as it could be, or the reason you have higher employee turnover, is because you don't pay people enough. Let me tell you the facts. If you took your employees on Monday, next week, you doubled everybody's salary. Everybody, including you, would be ecstatic. Only two problems. Performance would not go up even 1%. And in 30 days, you'd be out of business. Money does not create the results that recognition, positive feedback, good customer service skills, good customer service training can create. So you got to communicate to the employee, I love you, I value you. That's where our tools come in. And most employees don't feel loved, don't feel appreciated. And then number 9 up here, you got to track results. So at Metro Bank, they track results. At Amazon, they track results. Everybody knows the numbers. Okay? They're after the numbers. How do you get this incredible growth? You get the incredible growth because you provide an exceptional level of customer service. And then number 10 up here, if you understand the service strategy, it will dramatically improve your market share. If you want to become one of the more valuable companies in your market area, the service strategy will help you do that. Now, let me tell you one of the other skills that we teach at Service Quality Institute, which is you got to use the customer's name. You know, it's interesting. We have a lot of technology today. You know, you're looking at the computer. You see the person's name, or they're on the phone and they tell you your name. We never use the person's name. Now, why do we not use the person's name? I think there's 3 reasons. First, we don't give a darn. It's indifference. Second is fear. Man, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I don't know how to say Tschohl. I'm just going to avoid it. And then the third is just lack of training. You see, nobody has ever trained anybody on why you got to use the customer's name. So we have, you know, a pretty large bank here in this room with First Bank. What would happen if your 11,000 people remembered everybody's name, used everybody's name, so when somebody went into the bank, starting with the security guard to the teller, to everybody in the bank, hi John, Mr. Tschohl, good to see you. Mr. Tschohl, how are you today? What would happen if the security guard, as I'm leaving, said, Mr. Tschohl, thank you again for coming to First Bank. I just want to let you know how much we appreciate your business. Is that what they do? See, your name is the most powerful thing to a customer. It's the most valuable thing to a customer. It carries more significance than anything else. It's a skill. It's a technique that will let you own the customer and dominate the customer. It creates high value in the customer. It only takes a few seconds. And then let me give you another example, which is a little bitty company called Apple. Apple today is the most profitable retailer on the planet. They're averaging about $7,000 in sales per square foot. The Madison Avenue store in New York, they're doing $35,000 in sales per square foot. In New York, at the Madison store, it is harder to get a job there than it is to get into Harvard. But see, most companies don't need $7,000 in sales per square foot. It's too much money. And by the way, if you look at the numbers up here at JCPenney's, they do $156 per square foot. At Kohl's, which is another large retailer, $194. And at Macy's, $171. But see, we don't want to steal ideas from Apple because who needs that much cash? Right now, Apple's the world's most valuable company. In July of 2011, they had more cash than the U.S. Treasury. You see, here's the interesting thing. If you went to the Apple store today and you wanted some help with your iPhone, I have an iPhone, I have an iPad, okay? And you say, I need some help with the Genius Bar, they use their iPad to take your name down, your email address. What you didn't know is they described what you look like and what you were wearing. So a few minutes later, maybe 5 or 10 minutes later, somebody's going to approach you and say, John, it'll be another 5 minutes before somebody can help you. And you're thinking, how did you know it was me? You see, they use technology, because they have iPads. And it comes up on a big screen with your name, but all the other employees have an iPad. They've got the information right in front of them. You see, at Apple, they understand the customer experience. While they may be a technology company, they understand the customer experience. See, Steve Jobs never settled for anything but extraordinary. Business guru Jim Collins likened him to the Beethoven of business. Larry Ellison, the Silicon Valley billionaire, dubbed him our Picasso. Let me give you another example, which is Amazon. Jeff Bezos, the founder, the CEO, said our #1 goal is to be the Earth's most customer-centered company. He didn't say Seattle. He didn't say the state of Washington. He didn't say the United States. He didn't limit his vision. You see, when you want to buy something on Amazon, you can be at home at 1 o'clock in the evening. You can be naked. You could be sitting at the computer and you can place an order. And within 60 seconds or 30 seconds, you're going to get another confirmation email coming back saying that your order has been accepted. And a few hours later, you're going to get another email saying that your order has been shipped with a tracking number. You see, most people wouldn't want to copy Amazon because they don't want $61 billion in sales. They don't want to have a 27% increase in revenue. They don't want $13 billion in additional sales during the year. That's what happens at Amazon because they understand the customer experience. It's ranked #1 in the world for customer service. Now here's an interesting thing. If you're in the United States, you go online with Amazon because you can chat by email, by chat, or you can have them call you. And if you asked them to call you, the question I have for you is how long do you think it will take before they call you back? Will it be a day? An hour? 10 minutes? The answer is in 1 second. See, they understand technology, and they understand the customer experience. See, everything at Amazon is built on speed, price, customer service using technology. So we need to do more and learn more than our customers and your boss expect. That's how you move up. That's how you become more successful. That's how you create a service culture. Let me talk a little bit about speed, because speed means to me dramatically reducing the time to get things done. In a lot of developing countries, people go slow. At Amazon, everything is built on speed. At Apple, everything is built on speed. So what impacts us is our mindsets, because we think slow, and then we don't have empowerment. We have stupid policies and systems. So the difficulty is, culturally and socially speaking, it's not in our nature to think speed. You know, when you were in school and you had a test, and the teacher on Monday said, on Friday, at 1 o'clock, we're going to have a test. When did you start studying? Thursday night, or it was Friday morning. Okay? So we tend to wait until the last second. So when we talk about speed, the challenges include your mindset and empowerment. The barriers are your company's policies, procedures, and available technology. The external barriers that we have are organizational policies and procedures. They just get in the way. Because we have systems and procedures. We know everybody's going to steal. We know they're going to rip us off. So we want to make life so difficult that nobody can buy from us. And then sometimes we have a reliance on third-party vendors that don't give a darn, and that also slows us down. So the key for speed is you got to do it fast, you got to do it now, and you got to do it right. So speed begins with a do it fast, do it now, and a do it right attitude. So if you got 600 people, again, 600 people have to be thinking speed. I believe, my research show, that speed creates a tremendous competitive advantage over the competition. So at Metro Bank, I can go in, open a new account in 15 or 20 minutes, where the other banks are going to take 2 weeks. Now, does that create a competitive advantage? I think it does. When Jeff Bezos from Amazon, Steve Case from AOL, and Jerry Yang from Yahoo was asked, what is the source of your competitive advantage? They said, look at the words here very carefully. They said, creating a customer experience superior to anything my competitors can create. Let's repeat. Creating a customer experience. He didn't say price. He didn't say technology. Creating a customer experience superior to anything my competitors can create. So think about that with your own organization. What can you do to create a customer experience that is superior to anything your competitors can create. You see, I think organizations accelerate or you die. And unfortunately, there's a whole lot of companies that die because they're not moving fast. They're not moving forward. See, the real question is, are your employees trained on policies and rules or principles? When you bring new people on, are they trained on principles or policies and rules? So if we look at how do we create a service culture, if we look at the screen up here, what most of us do is we buy some kind of a magic program. Maybe it's from this certification seminar. We put everybody through feelings, and then we wonder 6 months later, a year later, 5 years later, why it doesn't work anymore. You see, if you want to create a service culture, you got to have something new. You got to have something fresh virtually every 4 to 6 months. You got to put your foot on the accelerator pedal going 100 miles an hour. You see, the difficulty is that we're dealing with humans, and we all have bad habits. At least I do. Okay? So it's easy to go back to the habits that we have. So if you're trying to develop high-performing, extraordinary people, you better be able to introduce short interventions constantly, every few months, to just move it to another level. You don't want people to slide back. You don't want people to move back to the level they were at. And I think there's 5 key design characteristics that you want to use if you're going to develop high-performing people. The Feelings program, all of the product from Service Quality Institute have these 5 design characteristics in them. Now, the bad news is many executives and many human resource people don't like these 5 things. I personally believe that without these 5, you will have no chance of success. Number 1, the material you use with your workforce better be fun and entertaining. It has to be exciting. The difficulty is a lot of us, we like dull, dry, boring material. I think when you have dry, dull, boring material, we put people to sleep. You see, executives in training and human resource people like boring, dry stuff. The employee, they want excitement. They want something that's fun, okay? Number 2, you got to focus on basics, fundamentals, basics, and fundamentals. Yesterday in Minnesota, there was a football game with the Minnesota Vikings. The problem is that they forgot about the fundamentals. Now, here's the interesting thing. These football players all make, I believe, over $1 million a year. Some are making $10 million a year. I mean, that's a lot of money. They can't focus on fundamentals. They're in training camp every cotton picking day, and they have problems with fundamentals. So now we're paying people small amounts of money, and we wonder why they're not executing fundamentals. See, if you want people to be really good, they got to be flawless. They got to have the execution of the fundamentals and basics now, and you better be constantly educating and training people to develop the fundamentals so that when they're in front of a customer, when they're on the phone, when they're on the internet, it's flawless. So if athletes making millions of dollars a year have trouble with fundamentals, what do you think happens when we're paying people only a few $100s a month? And then the third thing we got to use if we're going to develop high-performing people is the packaging. The tools that we have better be very attractive. They better be awesome. So when I hand materials to a participant, he says, "This is really cool," instead of, "Oh." Now, here's the interesting thing. I've been doing this stuff for over 40 years. You probably thought I was much younger. What I have noticed about 98% of the time, the materials that an employee is handed in any kind of a training program that companies have created on their own, the material that they're given sucks. You couldn't make it more ugly. See, we don't care about the quality of the product. Now, go back to the iPhone. Packaging is everything in an Apple product. But again, most people don't want to become the most valuable company in the world. So if you want high-performing people, make sure the packaging of the product that you use, that you're going to give people to train them on the skills of customer service, is so awesome that when they look at the material, they say, "You mean this is for me? I can write in it?" Okay. And then, number 4 up here, we got to use experiential learning. So if you really want to change behaviors and attitudes, if you're 2,000 people or 14,000 people, 80% of the training time has to be group discussion, group interaction. What the last thing you want is a lecture series where you got somebody up in front of the room and you're talking to 20 people and they all shake their head and the information goes in this ear and straight out this ear. Okay? Experiential learning is 80% of the time is group discussion, interaction, debates, fights, arguments. What you want are people to aggressively discuss the message so that you drive it emotionally instead of intellectually. Here's a belief I have. You said at First Bank you have over 11,000 people. I believe right now that all 11,000 people understand that customer service is important, without any doubt. Would you agree with that? Okay. The problem is they don't do it. Okay, that's why we have to have the experiential learning. We have to drive it emotionally. And then the fifth item up here is we got to focus on personal development and personal growth. So I have a belief with all your employees that a whole bunch of them are hurting inside. Huge percentages of your employees. They have problems with their girlfriends. They have problems with their boyfriends. They have problems with their spouse. They don't have enough money to pay their bill. They miss the bus on the way to work. There's lots of things that slow people down. And you think they're going to be cheerful all day long. Well, let me tell you what. In this room, we got some very successful people. But if you look at the vast majority of your employees, they don't have that same skill set. They don't have that mindset. So little things throw them into orbit. So with our products, and particularly starting with feelings, we focus on personal excellence, and we're building people from within. If people feel good about themselves, they're more productive on the job. If they don't feel good about themselves, just like in Botswana, if they don't feel good about themselves, they communicate it on the job. So we need to develop high-performing people that feel good about themselves. Now, there's another reason we do it. Every one of your employees knows that you, Thilo, make way too much money. Every single employee. They know your organization makes too much money. What they want to know is, Ibrahim, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? So we use instead a way of building people from within, helping them become more successful, to believe in themselves so they can perform at a higher level. So it's a win-win relationship. Most employees going through feelings. This is, the program was released in January of 1980. So it's been around for a while. Now it's been updated and updated, and I've spent millions of dollars improving the program constantly. But the principles are the same, and millions of people in every corner of the world have gone through feelings. The program absolutely works. So the SQI technology does three things. Number one is we change attitudes and behavior. If you can't do that, we're kind of dead in the water. Number two, we teach the skills, the art of customer service. And then three, we improve employee morale and teamwork. Those are the three objectives of our product. That's what Feelings does. That's what all the different programs do. Let me give you another example of a company that understands the service strategy. It's Southwest Airlines. Now, the reason I like to use an airline is because they've never had a strike. And all airlines in the world tend to have a lot of labor issues. They are the largest carrier in the United States of domestic passengers. They have made money for 40 straight years. No other airline in the world has been able to do that. Last year they made $421 million. Total revenue last year was $17 billion. Average passenger fare is $147.17. Now, most importantly, they're the fourth most admired company in the world. What would happen in your country if your organization was the fourth most admired company in the world? Okay? What would happen to the value of your company, to your brand, to sales? At Southwest Airlines, they understand that. Now, here's the other interesting thing. Plane turnaround time is 20 minutes. American Airlines, which I understand you flew to get in here, you're a little bit unhappy with, takes an hour. Now, the difference is that Southwest Airlines made $421 million last year. American Airlines is in bankruptcy. At American Airlines, it's going to take at least an hour turnaround time for a plane. The difference is, at Southwest Airlines, their planes are in the sky. At American Airlines, they're on the ground. So at Southwest Airlines, they don't need as many aircraft. Now, here's the interesting thing. These planes cost a lot of money. So if their planes are in the sky, they save billions of dollars. Now, here's the other interesting thing. When Southwest Airlines enters a new market, their prices are usually two-thirds less than what the competition was charging. Not 10%, 20% less, two-thirds less, because they're more frugal. No meal is loaded except ice. Cleaning is done by the crew. It takes 10 minutes to get people on and 10 minutes to get people off the airline. Colleen Barrett said, "We are not an airline with great customer service." She's the president emeritus. "We are a great customer service organization," she said, "that happens to be in the airline business." Let's just think about your business. Maybe you put your picture in there, or the CEO of your company, and you say, "We are not a bank with great customer service. We are a great customer service organization that happens to be in the banking business," or whatever your industry is. See, at Southwest Airlines, they believe their people are their most valuable asset. Although we fly planes, Southwest Airlines is really a customer service company. There are a few companies in the world that understand they're in the customer service business. Apple, Metrobank, Costco, Southwest Airlines, Amazon. The companies that understand that make a fortune. See, what we're talking about here this morning is the best service pros are just simply outstanding employees. Your job is to develop them. We provide the tools at Service Quality Institute that you can use on site to develop outstanding employees. That's the purpose of the certification seminar, to give you feelings in leading empowered teams. Now, one of the other skills that I teach is you got to make sure you do not hire employees who hate customers. In a lot of organizations, they just hire anybody that's got a pulse. The service leaders hire 1 out of 50, 1 out of 100. And then we need to make sure that everybody's empowered. Webster's definition is to authorize, to enable, to permit. My definition of empowerment is I want every employee to make a very fast decision on the spot, and it better be in favor of the customer. I've never had a CEO disagree with that. Every CEO understands the service strategy. I shouldn't say that understands the service strategy. Every CEO believes that their employees are empowered, would love to have their employees empowered. They really don't understand the service strategy. So empowerment is really a way of life. It's not about bending the rules or breaking the rules. It's just bending them to keep the customer happy. So what I talk about empowerment is I want to take care of a customer to the customer's satisfaction, not your organization's. Again, if you got 300 employees, 50 employees, 2,000 employees, whatever your number of employees are, you got to make sure that everybody understands empowerment, so when there's a customer in front of their eyes, on the phone, on the internet, they're saying, cool. Give me an example. I gave a gift to a person in Vail, Colorado, around the 1st of January. They didn't like it. It was a supermarket food product type of thing with beautiful wrapping, coffee beans, coffee, and all sorts of stuff like that. Bought it from Amazon. They returned it, didn't want it. So I contacted Amazon, went onto their website, and they said they can't accept the product back because it's a grocery product. I've never had anything from Amazon that wasn't returnable before. So I went onto their chat line, and I do it late at night because, you know, I'm busy during the day. And by the way, late at night, are your businesses open for customers, or you just don't need that additional revenue like Amazon does? So anyhow, I went on, and I'm on the chat line. I said, I got a problem. I ordered this product, and they can immediately bring up the code and what it was. And I said, Amazon doesn't let me return it. And they said, that's correct because it's a grocery item. However, I'll just issue a credit. I thought, whoa! And then the girl said, this is all on the chat line, why don't you just use it for yourself or give it to somebody else as a gift? Now, would that happen in your organization? But see, you got to understand, most people don't need a 27% increase in sales like Amazon, which amounts to $13 billion US. That's what they did last year. Okay? But see, at Amazon, they understand the service strategy. So when we're talking about empowerment, it's a game-changing practice. It's a way of life that you, I believe, will love. So let me talk about service recovery. I think in each of our organizations, sometime during the day, for sure during the week, we screw up. Bad things happen. Things don't always go right. So with service recovery, how do I get somebody on the front line to keep that customer, to solve that issue? How do we get a customer who's angry, who's upset, who maybe, I was thinking swearing, but in your country people wouldn't swear, would they? So how do we take that irate customer and in 60 seconds flip them so they think they're dealing with the greatest company in the world? Would you like to learn how to do that? Okay. So service recovery is, how do I create an experience that's so remarkable that people feel compelled to talk about it? Now if you look at this picture up here, the good-looking guy on the right, that's me. That's in Vail, Colorado. I do a lot of snow skiing. Vail is maybe the most customer-driven ski mountain in the world. The good-looking guy on the left in the white outfit, his name is Clyde Weisner. Several years ago, I was on the ski mountain, and for the ski lifts to be running consistently is very important on a ski mountain. I was stuck on a chairlift for about an hour. 3 different times the ski patrol came down and told us what the problems were. When we got to the top of the chairlift, they gave each of us 2 free lift tickets. Now, a lift ticket today is worth about $120. So I'm thinking, this is cool. So the balance of the day is we're going up the different chairlifts. There's 4 people on a chairlift typically. We kept telling everybody, yeah, we got stuck on chair 26 today, and we each got 2 free lift tickets. I called my wife that night, Pat. I said, Pat, I got 2 free lift tickets. I called my son Matthew. I said, Matthew, you'll never believe what happened. I got 2 free lift tickets. Put it into my newsletter. Put it into my book, Loyal for Life. And then I called Vail. And because I was thinking there had to be a process in place, because they gave us coupons. Everything was organized. They had people at the top of the lift with snowmobiles that met us there. And they put me into contact with Clyde Weisner, the guy in the white up here, who then taught me the process, because everything at Vail is built on the customer experience. So when a lift is down for 5 minutes or more, they give everybody a free drink ticket that's on the lift. When the lift is down for 15 minutes or more, they give you a free lift ticket. If it's down for 30 minutes or more, they give you 2 free lift tickets. And if it was in really bad weather, they're receptive to giving out even more free lift tickets. Okay. Now here's another thing, and it relates a little bit to the customer experience and empowerment. At Vail, on all of the ski mountains they own, they look every day for at least 2 people that are just struggling, who are having a miserable time snow skiing or snowboarding. And they approach them and they give them a free coupon for a group ski lesson. That group ski lesson is worth about $160. Now think about it. You're on the ski mountain. Maybe you haven't ever skied before. You're having a miserable day. This is the last place in the world you want to be. You're scared. You don't like going down the mountain. It's very uncomfortable. Somebody from Vail comes up and says, sir, it looks like that you're having a little bit of a problem on the mountain. I'd like to offer you a free coupon for a group ski lesson at your convenience. You're going to fall in love with Vail. You're going to tell every friend that you have. It's called word-of-mouth advertising. Now, they have at Vail about 3,000 ski instructors. So if they put 2 or 3 extra people into their lessons during the week, or in fact any given day, is it going to really matter? No. What's the cost? Nothing. But it's all empowerment, word-of-mouth, and the customer experience. So you got to understand, marketing money is what we're talking about. So we all spend a fortune on marketing. The problem is half of it's wasted. We don't know which half. So here's the 4 tips for service recovery. Number 1, act quickly. 2, take responsibility. 3, be empowered. And 4, compensate. Let's go through those 4 steps. Act quickly. The point of contact is where the individual has to make an empowered decision. The last thing we want to do is move it up the chain of command. Time is of the essence. It all has to happen within 60 seconds. This is where the magic comes from. Then number 2, you got to take responsibility. Now here's the problem, at least in the United States. I'm sure it doesn't happen in other countries. In the United States, I'd say about 98% of the time the employee lies and runs for cover. Nobody just says, hey, we screwed up. I screwed up. It's all my fault. I can count on one hand all the times I've heard an employee say, I made a mistake. Just doesn't happen. So what we don't want the person to do is take the blame. We don't want them place blame. We want them to apologize. We don't want them to make excuses or lie. We don't want them to say it's your misunderstanding. We don't want to blame the customer. So this stuff absolutely works. And then the last thing you want to do is say, I'm sorry, sir, we have policies, rules, and procedures at this company. That's like putting gasoline on a fire. It becomes very explosive. Remember, when we're talking about service recovery, you did something wrong. Your organization is at fault. And keep in mind, if the customer believes that your organization did something bad, reality is that you did something bad. So the last thing you want to do is argue with the customer. The customer is always right. And then third is we got to be empowered. That means that every single employee has to be empowered to make a fast decision on the spot, and it better darn well be in favor of the customer. And then the fourth thing is we got to compensate. We got to give things of value so the customer says, this is really cool. Okay? Now think of all the billboards, the TV, the radio, the newspaper advertising that many of you use. And most of it's wasted. You don't know what works and you don't know what does not work. Now you've got a customer in front of your eyes. You have screwed up. Spend a little bit of money making the customer ecstatic so he thinks you're the greatest company in the world. We have a couple telephone companies here in this room, telecommunication companies. Think about what happens. A guy calls up and he says, I've had a miserable day. I've had about 5 drop calls from your company. I'm upset. I want to cancel my account. And you say, Mr. Tschohl, I apologize. Obviously, it is our fault. I've just looked at the records here, Mr. Tschohl. You're one of the most valuable customers that we have here in Belize, and I'd like to give you 1,000 free minutes. What's the cost? The cost is really nothing. But now you got a customer that's locked in and ecstatic about the experience. So if we're going to move forward, we got to get people to move up. We got to develop indispensable employees, extraordinary employees. See, what I've been talking about here is service as a skill. It's a technique. It's professionalism, and it's an art. I had a chance to work with Stanley Marcus when he was alive. He was maybe the inventor of customer service in the United States. He said, we have to respect our customers. Second, we have to learn to love them. And eventually, we will adore them. I believe that if I can get everybody in your organization to practice those 3 items, you'll own the customer. You'll be able to grow your business at a very rapid rate. That's the purpose of this certification seminar. My contact information is here. So we're going to launch a seminar starting now using feelings, and then we're going to go through leading empowered teams. I'm going to train you how to facilitate both programs that will give you the tools that you can go back to your company and implement to help build a service culture. I've enjoyed the opportunity to be with each of you, and it's exciting to have so many different countries here in the room. So thank you very much for coming to our certification seminar, and I look forward to working with all of you. I'm John Tschohl. Thank you very much.
Thank you.